with a large potential that we will not see the end of the NHL regular season. Myself and Jack previously did an episode on who should win the Hart Trophy this season. Hot take there. I make the case for Artemi Panarin. You can go check out that video before this one if you want, but we're going to do the rest of the NHL awards for this episode of Amateur Hour Sports, where we post every single day. And we're going to start with the Calder Trophy, and that's Jack's going to start us off with this one. What do you have?
It's a pretty close race, but
Yes.
for me, it's got to be Quinn Hughes. He's been so good this year. As well as Cale Makar, very similar player as well. But Quinn Hughes just been very impressed. Consistency throughout the season. Vancouver's fallen off a lot recently.
Yeah.
That's been discussed.
So,
but
some words were said that are a little bit regrettable now.
Yes, a little bit regrettable. But, they didn't make the move. You know what? That's another topic. Anyways, Quinn Hughes, just watching him play, he's so good. Just his defensive awareness on the ice. And if you just see some of the IQ plays he makes are exceptional. He's very good. And as I said, Vancouver's performance really gone down, but Hughes has not been phased. He's still doing very well. And my argument against Cale Makar is he was nowhere to be found. And he was on track to be, I think, like by a little bit, the most points ever by a rookie defenseman.
And you were one who advocated that he was going to reach that milestone, and I wasn't, but I said he would be close. Not the case.
He is like it's night and day. Like completely different player. Honestly,
yeah. I started this one kind of 50-50. The more I think about it, the more I kind of drift towards Quinn Hughes, just because sure, Cale Makar's got 50 points, 57 games. That's very impressive for a defenseman, never mind a rookie defenseman.
How many?
A lot of them were at the start of the season. Right?
Yeah, how many points has Cale Makar had in the last half? Because he was like, for him to be at the pace,
on fire. Yeah,
the pace he's at now, he must have dropped off so much.
He dropped off. He dropped off a little bit. I also think that from if you're a defenseman, you got to put some value on your defensive abilities, and Quinn Hughes certainly tops Cale Makar in that regard, and also doesn't get to play on one of the most formidable power play units in the NHL, where you've got Nathan McKinnon and Rantanen. So, and even if Landeskog is playing there, Quinn Hughes kind of got to earn his points a little bit differently than Cale Makar. 53 points in 68 games. He's been consistent throughout. His defensive capabilities are better. And he's played more games. Would you rather have Quinn Hughes for 68 games or Cale Makar for 57 games? Probably Quinn Hughes for 11 more games. Offensive production isn't quite the same, but in terms of the defensive ability, what you do need to place value on for a defenseman, it kind of starts to show that it's going to be Quinn Hughes. And we talked about this earlier in the year. It was you could almost lock it up halfway through the season. Cale Makar is going to be the rookie of the year. There's no doubt about it.
All four tires.
Yeah, he's fallen off. He's still great. If I picked a Canadian roster right now, Cale Makar would be in my Canadian roster as one of the top 6 defensemen. So, still good. It just isn't quite at the level that Quinn Hughes has maintained throughout the entire season. That's where the difference stems from.
And there was a quote from Quinn Hughes, loosely accurate, but he said, "There's been no one in the second half." He said, "I don't know how the awards work, but there's been no one as good as me, at least for the second half."
I find typically the awards are largely based on what have you done for me lately. There's been, I think, a few awards in the past where the hot pick, at the end of the season gets the award over the guy who's been the staple for the entire season. Unfortunately, it's just whatever's fresh in your memory. What have you done for me lately? So even without that, I still probably take Quinn Hughes the more I think about it. It's tight though. It's not exactly open shut.
Okay. I think what impressed me most about Quinn Hughes is one certain play, breakaway for whatever team, and Quinn Hughes was sprinting back, pushed his own player with the stick, reached out and gave the other defenseman a little speed boost and they got rid of the puck because like the little push he gave
little
him.
shove. You know when
And that was what really got me. I'm like, wow, I like this guy.
I've been playing a lot of GTA lately. You know when you're trying to evade the cops in your cars, like going to shit, and the cop hit behind you, nudges you a bit, and gives you that extra push to get away. One of those kind of plays. But Quinn Hughes, Calder Award. Let's move on to the Vezina. This is pretty open shut for me. You put him potentially in a Hart Trophy conversation, even though he wouldn't get the award. In the conversation, Tuukka Rask has been absolutely unbelievable this year. Bit of a bounce back year to last year, even though he was great last year. There were a bit of question marks raised about Tuukka Rask, even in the playoffs a little bit, but he ended up getting them to all the way to the Stanley Cup. He really became this elite goalie again in the playoffs, especially as a Leafs fan. I got to see it firsthand. And tremendous so far this season in the NHL. Well, I guess might be the end of the season in the NHL. 2.12 goals against average. That is the best in the NHL, and a .929 save percentage. That is among, I believe, the top 5 or 6 in the NHL. It's one of the best in the NHL. Tremendous all year. Consistent. There's a reason Boston are the best team in hockey. It's largely because of Tuukka Rask.
Yeah, his performance has been absolutely exceptional, and advanced statistics, basic statistics, he runs the board.
Yeah.
What most impressed me is his save percentage above expected. He's number 1, so he saves 0.823% higher. He's that much more save percentage than expected. So that just basically calculates on the type of shots he faces. That's how much
quality of opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what would be expected to allow versus what you do allow, he is the highest above what is expected in the NHL.
And I think he's .823, Hellebuck's 774, and then a big drop off to 509. So I think Tuukka Rask is an elite. I mean, there's no debate he's an elite goalie. He has been for a long time, but this might be his most impressive season yet.
Yeah, there's a large potential for that. He has won the Vezina in the past. It was a long time ago, 2013, 2014. His stats aren't quite the same as that year. They had a 2.04 goals against average, which is fucking ridiculous.
Scoring, though, there was a scoring drought.
There was a scoring drought, to be fair. In terms of performance, this arguably is his best season. He's only ever been really in Vezina conversation that year. Never really been in the conversation other than that. I think he's a lock for this year's.
Absolutely.
Even if we do play the rest of the season, I can't see him tailing off. But we'll move on to the next award, the Norris Trophy. Not quite as open shut, but I still think there is a pretty good favorite for this one. Who's yours?
It's got to be John Carlson. And we've seen the past few years, well, not past few years, for a little while now, I guess ever since the Carlson era, we've seen defensemen, the Norris Trophy going to offensive-minded defensemen, and a perfect example of that is John Carlson on an absolute tear this year. 75 points thus far, and you look below him, 65 points the next person, and then draw a huge drop off to 55 points. Absolutely incredible player, both ways of the ice, and for me, this is the absolute lock-in. It has to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think John Carlson has always been like a good defenseman to have on your team, but this season, like even though he's only played 69 games because of the stoppage in the NHL, he's at his career high in points. And last year's career high, he made it 70 in 80 games. He's got 75 in 69 games. So he continues on this trend. He's well over a point per game right now as a defenseman. That is quite ridiculous in this era of the NHL. And yeah, like you said, since the Carlson era, I think kind of guys like Chris Letang, PK Subban kind of popularized the offensive defenseman. It's much more on what can you produce offensively, because those are the stats. I see goals, I see assists, I see points. I'm not really seeing what they can do defensively. So in that regard, John Carlson, probably a lock for the award at this point. Probably would get it anyway, even without that narrative towards offensive defensemen. It's an open shut case, really, looking at it like that. Yeah. We'll move on. I'll say my Jack Adams Award winner. We're not going to touch on that too much, though. But I think that Jack Adams is the best coach in the NHL this year. Coach of the year for me is Alain Vigneault of the Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, forgive me if I just was closed-minded. I did not see the Flyers 1 point off of the lead in the Metropolitan Division at the start of the season or midway through the season. Like, the tear they're on right now would probably lead to a potential cup candidacy. And you talked about them earlier in the week about how maybe they could have pushed for the cup. Maybe this break isn't good for them if we do get the NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs still. But the Flyers finished off the last 10 games of the season, 9 wins. So on a tear, this team on paper is not better than the Penguins, the Hurricanes. You could argue the Islanders, who fell off the face of the earth, by the way. But the resurgence that they've had, I did not see this coming.
Absolutely not. I didn't see it coming.
Like, it's even crazy to see. They have 89 points. The Capitals are first in the Metro with 90. And the way it's trending, the Flyers could have fucking won the Metropolitan Division, which is not an easy division. No, it's not. It's no Pacific.
What, 1 point down? 9-1 their last 10.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think they do win it. I think they do win that division.
I do too.
I mean, they're not going to take Boston for the conference, but I think they win that division.
If we played out the rest of the season, and in the playoffs, the way they're playing, they could even take down maybe Washington. How good would that first round series be if we get a Flyers Penguins playoff series? How good would that series be? Battle of Pennsylvania. Yeah. That would be insane. I wish we could have seen the remainder of the season. I still hope we get the playoffs. We suggested a new format. A lot of people didn't like our format, by the way. The 24-team format.
I thought it was a good idea.
I think it's a great idea, but there's granted, most of the people who listen are Leafs fans. They're kind of like, whatever you finish, you just go into the normal playoff format. So, I don't know. I like it. But anyways, Flyers have been way better than expected, and I think it's a result of the veteran presence of a coach, Alain Vigneault. He's had a lot of success in the past. But enough on Alain Vigneault. Jack, you have some other awards for us. Your own awards, let's say.
Yeah, I'd say I'm going to give a little award for the most surprising, breakthrough performance of the year. And although there's so many players each year, such a big league, so many players on a team, you have so many great performances.
Yeah.
But I'd like to say the most improved performance, I'm going to give it to Mika Zibanejad. Absolutely playing exceptional this year, along with Artemi Panarin on the Rangers. He's on pace for 107 points this year. His other career high is 74 points.
Yeah, he's already above it.
And the only one above, he only has one other year above 50, so 51.
Yeah.
So I guess his career point performances would be 51, 74, and potentially 107. So
if he got to finish the season, he's played 57 games and he's already at his career high.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely been punching above his weight, way better than he's usually been.
5-goal game.
Entering his prime at 20. Yeah, the 5-goal game. He's entering his prime at 26 years old. I think we're going to see this type of Mika Zibanejad here to stay from now on.
Yeah, absolutely. I really liked him when he played for the Sens back in Ottawa.
I thought he was good for the Sens as well.
I thought it was a really, really bad trade.
I forget the trade.
Brassard and I think at first.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry. I guess, no, we gave up a first and Zibanejad for Brassard.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, okay.
That's a really bad. That's very bad. Your team's
Brassard now.
Your team's Jack's team's the Senators and the Kings. They're not very good at making trades.
No, not really.
One is good at winning cups, so you got that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. How about the other way around? Most surprising because of how awful they've been this year.
I think everyone's favorite player to hate on, PK Subban. This guy, he was so good in his prime of his career. I think it's maybe partially he's been held up to such high expectations.
Also, the media do him no favors.
Yeah. Last year, 31 points with Nashville. This season, 18 in 68 games with New Jersey.
How bad has New Jersey been? I thought they were going to be great this year. How disappointing have the New Jersey Devils been? And PK Subban is one of the players who has been quite horrific. But I think the most surprising player, because of how bad they've been, I am most surprised by how abysmal Sergei Bobrovsky has been for Florida. A 900 save percentage, 3.23 goals against average. This is unprecedented, unheard of from Sergei Bobrovsky before. the former Vezina Trophy winner, notoriously one of the best goalies in the NHL. $10 million a year this guy makes, by the way.
Granted, he's had a better half, but you gotta still do a lot better than
you're
than
making
that.
$10 million a year, and he's making that $10 million a year for another 6 after this one. $70 million over 10. $70 million over 7 years for Sergei Bobrovsky.
You could say it's the Russian stereotype. They sign a big deal and then
Yeah, well, all right, Don Cherry. Yeah. I mean, they've both been fucking horrendous. It's no secret that they've both been absolutely awful. And I don't know how Florida still managed to perform even with Bobrovsky playing like this. But Subban embodies what has happened to the New Jersey Devils this year. Just underwhelming.
Do you know how much they pay PK Subban a year?
Oh, God. Lay it on
Guess
me.
what his cap hit is.
He's got to make like 11 or 12 million.
Okay. Well, he's a cap hit of $9 million a year.
Okay, that's still a lot.
That is a lot. That is a lot.
Especially for a defenseman. I was kind of highballing to not get surprised.
No, and that deal, that was when he signed with Montreal.
Yeah.
So when they weren't giving out as much money, so yeah, you're paying him $9 million. He has 18 points.
Yeah.
That is horrendous. That is. We're talking buyout. We should be looking at buyout right now for the Devils.
Hey, some buyouts. I mean, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of really bad buyouts in the NHL. Like Rick DiPietro. You remember that name?
I do.
I know how long he's got left on his buyout. You know how long he's still getting paid for?
10 more years.
10 more years.
10 more years.
Mike Richards. I think he's got 11 or 12 more years.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that one.
No. But we'll end it there. Thank you to Jack for being on this episode. I don't think there's really much argument with anything we said. I mean, if you don't think Tuukka Rask or John Carlson are those awards, check your head. Cale Makar, there's an argument there. But, well, if you do have anything to say, you can let us know. Social media or YouTube, all the links in the description. And keep up to date with the daily episodes we post at the Amateur Hour Sports Podcast. Every single day, like I said, we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode.